LED lighting. Part of the SEC on ESPN. It's dark now. It's about to light up. Brad Nessler, Sean Farnham, Shannon Spake from Rupp Arena in Lexington, Kentucky. In our matchup, the Bulldogs of Georgia against the top team in the country. Undefeated, obviously, atop the conference with an undefeated mark as well. So take a look at the SEC standings. Kentucky perfect at 8-0. Texas A&M has surprised some people at 6-2. And then there's a group of 6 at 5-3, all looking to try to move up. Believe it or not, by this weekend, we hit the second half of the SEC season. Let's take a look at tonight's starting lineups, brought to you by Jared, the Galleria of Jewelry. Mark Fox brings his Bulldogs in. They're shorthanded. Mann, Gaines, Frazier, Kessler, Jurisic. Who's got to come to the plate tonight in that group?
I think it's J.J. Frazier. He had the big game last week with 37 points. He can really get it going from beyond the arc. They need that to give themselves a chance tonight.
For the undefeated Wildcats of John Calipari, the Harrison twins, Dominique Dawkins, Karl Anthony Towns, and Willie Cauley-Stein, the two big guys in the posts.
And Aaron Harrison has been shooting the ball so well in SEC play here at home. 56% from beyond the arc so far in the home contest in conference play.
Kentucky, perfect. Georgia's won 5 of their last 6. Joe DeRosa, Keith Kimball, Kip Kissinger, our officials. And believe it or not, Kenny Gaines is going to jump center for Georgia. They'd like to try to get a steal on the opening tip. If not, fall back on defense, and they don't get the trap they were looking for.
And they're trying to help off Hawkins. If Andrew Harrison went that direction, they were going to trap him. And now they fall right back into their zone. You play in the zone, you got to communicate, and you got to work.
Harrison on the baseline. Got it. That's Andrew Harrison. And now Kentucky will press. Jurisic, not the guy you want handling the ball, and Georgia turns it over. And Mark Fox just came up to Frazier and said, "You're the one that's supposed to be handling the ball." John Calipari, 97-4 in this arena. Not too bad.
Well, a great start for Kentucky. They worked the baseline. They got a wide open, uncontested shot in the corner, and then they get the turnover on the press. And Coach Fox is right. You want your guards taking the ball up the floor against Kentucky. You don't want your bigs.
Cauley-Stein straight away. Jurisic, after turning the ball over, does get the rebound. And here's Georgia in the front court for the first time. Frazier always gives away a lot of height at that point guard spot. He's 5'10", if he's lucky, for Georgia. Right now, Cauley-Stein's all over, and then Jurisic. Gaines on the outside, air ball. Comes free to Kentucky.
Yeah, such a great defensive possession for the Wildcats, keeping them on the outside around the perimeter.
Nice feed inside. Frazier saved an easy bucket with the foul. Mark Fox done a really nice job with his team. They were rolling along. They lost badly to South Carolina, but that was without Marcus Thornton, and likewise, same story tonight. And he's their leading scorer and rebounder. But last year they put a 12-6 mark together, which actually tied Kentucky for second in the SEC. And they're off to a good start so far this year as Karl Anthony Towns hits the first free throw.
And Georgia's done a nice job in their non-conference schedule to make sure that they don't find themselves in the similar predicament as they did a year ago watching the NCAA tournament because of some of those losses they suffered early in the season. This year, that's not going to be a problem.
So Kentucky off to a 4-0 start. This time they clear out for Charles Mann to bring it up against Andrew Harrison. Gaines drew a foul from Aaron Harrison.
And that's what Georgia does as well as anybody in the country, really. They draw fouls and they earn trips to the free throw line. 26% of Georgia's points on the season have come at the free throw line.
Last year was 27%, so they're right on what they did a year ago. And they have made a lot more free throws than their opponents have attempted, but you got to hit them when you have a chance.
And at times that's been a problem for them. They've attempted free throws and they left a lot of points on the table. So far in conference play, though, they've done an outstanding job. They've made 22 more free throws than their opponents have attempted.
Gaines got the second one to get Georgia on the scoreboard. Nice ball movement by Kentucky and good defense by Georgia. Here's a baseline jumper for 3. Too strong. Cauley-Stein in the right spot. Towns with a hook shot. Got it.
And Coach Calipari told us today at shoot-around, just as he did before the Missouri game last Thursday, you catch the ball down low on the block. He wants them to simplify things for Karl Anthony Towns. Just go over your left hand. You get down low on the block, go over the left, go to the right hand hook. They'll take it every single time. And he's got to start finishing at a little bit of a higher rate than he has over the last couple of weeks. We saw signs of that over the weekend.
Yep. Over the weekend, they really shot well inside as their big men shot 81%, the four big guys on the inside.
You know, it starts with position and where you're at on the floor, and a great job establishing deep post position, 2 feet in the paint. If a big has 2 feet down low in the paint, as a guard, you have to give him the ball because it's a high percentage shot. If you take 1 foot, you're still going to make it, but if you take 2 feet outside the paint, now all of a sudden the degree of difficulty gets a lot higher for bigs.
Harrison just takes one right from the free throw line. Andrew Harrison's hit his first 2 jump shots, and that's always a good sign for Kentucky. They jump out to a 7-point lead. Here's Kessler. He played a season-high 23 minutes over the weekend because of Thornton being out of that lineup. And now it's an offensive foul, and Georgia's completely out of sync, much like they were against the Gamecocks on Saturday.
Overwhelmed and outmatched right now. And the thing that has stood out to me about Kentucky, and I know we'll talk about this throughout the course of the night, and I was here for Big Blue Madness, I was here in November, I was here in December, you know, it's just the mentality of this team, the business-like approach they have at shooting around, how focused, how dialed in they are to what Coach Calipari wants them to do.
And of course, the buying into the, for the most part, 2 platoon system, where you maybe only get 20 minutes a night, and you'd like to play 40. Ball loose, Cauley-Stein got it to Hawkins. He had it blocked. But Kentucky keeps it alive, and then there's a foul on Kenny Gaines. So a hot potato flying around there. Kentucky comes up with it and a foul.
And you see that commitment. You talk about the buying into the system, selling out during the time that you have on the floor. The body's hitting the floor right there. Kentucky scrapping and clawing for the ball, and that's what allowed them to gain possession of it, not just once, but twice.
And Kentucky's so much deeper than Georgia, and that will be in their favor again tonight as well. That's that way just with just about everybody they play, for that matter. Andrew Harrison looking for a pick. His brother gets it on the baseline, and now the three-pointer goes for Hawkins and one.
And watch this, the drive baseline and the elevation up, making the extra pass, the unselfishness of this group, and Hawkins able to dial it in from beyond the arc and draw the contact.
And that's only his 4th three-pointer, but he was so wide open. He doesn't capitalize and make it a 4-point play. But now Kentucky may save it anyway, and they do. And it's a feeding frenzy right now. Luckily for Georgia, Kentucky turned it over. They've already got a double-digit lead, and we haven't hit 4 minutes into the game yet.
They are razor sharp right now.
They are. Man, Jurisic underneath. That's finally a good shot for Georgia. Their first good one. They go into their half-court offense, as well as their transition play has looked sharp tonight. Towns got up and down. That's a walk, and that'll bring us to our timeout with 15:27 remaining in the first half. Top-ranked Kentucky looks like #1 Kentucky, don't they? Early 8-point Kentucky lead, 15-27 in the first half. Brad Nessler and Sean Farnham. You know, when they were 10-0, I said, somebody's going to beat them. And they're 15-0, I said, somebody's going to beat them. They're 21-0, and right now it doesn't look like anybody's going to beat them. Not in the near future, maybe.
Well, and, you know, this fan base is so passionate. They came up to you in the lobby earlier today and said, hey, you know, we're 21-0, 19 more to go. And this team can do it, and they can accomplish it. And you look at the best starts in school history, and the reason why is because of their defense. The reason why is because of their buy-in factor. They could get 22 tonight. By weekend's end, they could have 23, which would put them at the second best start in school history.
Neither team's at full strength tonight. With more on that, here's Shannon.
Well, Brad, you already mentioned Georgia playing without Marcus Thornton. He is out with the concussion, and that loss is more than just a hit to their depth. It's also a hit to their identity. Coach Fox told me they are a good team when they have 4 or 5 guys scoring in double digits, so he will need everyone to step up tonight without their leading scorer. Kentucky also playing down a man. Trey Lyles out with an illness. A lot of the focus yesterday was on Dominique Hawkins and Derek Willis in practice, a chance for someone else to step up. Obviously, Hawkins already has that big 3-point, but Coach Calipari will not handle hesitation. He said, if you get the ball, you make a play.
He's got the guys that can do it. He's got a team that's as deep as the Dead Sea, and Georgia's about as thin as Donald Trump's hair, so it's a little bit different tonight as far as these two teams are concerned. Is that it for me? Jurisic got a 3. Jimmy Jurisic, good from the outside. That's his 21st 3 of the year.
Better execution in the last 2 possessions, though, for Georgia. They had the nice screen on the baseline that opened up the shot, and in that time, a free look from the mid-range. In the zone, though, they've got to be much more active. They are giving up too large of gaps and spaces for Kentucky to be able to attack and find high-percentage looks.
Tyler Eulis in the lineup. Dakari Johnson down low, so's Marcus Lee as they go to their other troops after that timeout. Battle for the rebound, and the possession arrow is going to go in Georgia's favor.
Well, you look at Georgia, and what does it take to beat a team like Kentucky for them tonight? They've got to limit second chance points. They've not done a good job of that in the early stages of this game. They have to control tempo. They have not done that in the early stages of the game, and they need a player to have a special night. And J.J. Frazier is the one guy in this very balanced offensive approach for the Bulldogs that can heat up and get going, and we saw that just last week when he scored 37.
37 against Mississippi State and didn't miss a 3. Here he is on the dribble right now against Eulis, and picked up that dribble, and he's going to have to try to find an outlet here.
What Kentucky does so well, they utilize their length. They force you to initiate your offense further away from the basket than you really want to, and then it creates spacing issues, timing issues as you're trying to get into your sets and run screens along the baseline.
It was a pretty good move by Kenny Gaines. Didn't get it off the glass, and then Dakari Johnson lost it out of bounds, so a fresh shot clock for Georgia.
Great job by Tyler Eulis jumping in that passing lane there, denying the angle.
And Georgia now finds itself with 15 on the shot clock. Here's Mann all the way. No foul on Johnson. Mann hit the deck hard. Oh, maybe they did call a foul.
When we talk about the ability to get to the free throw line, Charles Mann, one of the best in the country. And you see him go in, and the thing about going into a shot blocker, you cannot be in fear of going into a shot blocker. You cannot give him space. A lot of times, and you've seen this throughout the year, when players try to attack Kentucky, they try to give space by fading away from them. What that does is it makes you shorter and changes the angle of the shot, allows the shot blocker actually to get a better opportunity to block a shot versus putting a knee in their chest or shoulder right in their chest and trying to finish through.
And Kentucky blocks 20% of their opponent's shots. Every 5th shot you take, you know it's coming back in your face. That's not going to make you happy. And Georgia already has missed a couple of free throws. Mann's a 64% free throw shooter and got the second. So Georgia's inched its way back in this thing, trailing by 4.
Ball movement, though, has been really good from the outside.
Towns, nice shot in the paint. And a turnover.
Well, let's go back to the last play, though. This is a textbook attack offensively against the zone. And what you're going to see as we freeze it right here, you're isolating the defense by running out here. You set the on-ball screen, and then you just step right in this angle, and you're going to get a wide-open look. And a nice job. You screen the interior of the defense as you make it shift out to the shooter on the baseline. And when you have a shooter like Booker,
there it goes.
Pretty good.
Well, he missed his first attempt. And Mann the rebound. Out of bounds, still Georgia ball.
There's so many different ways to attack a zone, and at shoot around today, Coach Calipari prepared his team, said, look, we have shot the ball well from the outside, so more teams are going to man because we're struggling a little bit in the inside as far as finishing around the basket. But he anticipated Georgia would go to the zone, and his guys were ready for it.
Georgia's already used a couple of guys that normally wouldn't play that much, Eccles and Adoué. Maton, their highly touted freshman who had injury problems earlier too because of a concussion. Here's Eccles dribbling into traffic and just losing it out of bounds. So Jurisic at the scorers tables, set to check back in for Georgia. Ulis got it to Booker. He didn't take the open shot. He took the 15-footer and it rimmed out. Maton with the rebound.
Just uncertainty right now in the offense for Georgia. They're hesitating, and that is playing into the pressure of Kentucky.
And with that, they turn it over again. Well, a couple of Big 12 contenders squaring off Saturday on ESPNU. Baylor, they've really done a great job on the boards. They get points off turnovers, and they take on West Virginia. Bob Huggins' unrelenting defensive squad Saturday at noon on ESPNU, your home court of college hoops.
And you're talking about two teams that really crash the offensive glass. And West Virginia rebounds 41% of its missed shots. Wow. That's second in the Big 12 to guess who? Baylor. They rebound 44% of their missed shots. So nice job by both those teams, and one of them's going to have to shore up their defensive glass to give them a chance.
Georgia trying to save it on the baseline and did. They have had to hustle for every loose ball and every rebound just to stay in this thing. Gaines pulls up, had a good look and missed it. Karl Anthony Towns with a rebound. And here comes Andrew Harrison through traffic. Kick out to Booker for three. Got it.
You break down the defense by driving deep, flattening them out, forcing them to collapse to the ball, and then when you can kick it out and you've got a shooter like Devin Booker on the outside, it's almost automatic at this stage of the season. You see Kentucky in transition. They get off the glass and they get it and go. A good outlet pass by Karl Anthony Towns. Change direction. Andrew Harrison sucks in the defense. And when you do that, you give up a wide open look.
And he's hit 66% of his last 39 three-pointers. Think that one through. That's a guy that can rip it from outside the arc.
4 consecutive weeks. He's been named the freshman of the week in the SEC. I say this like old school Tiger Woods. You know, the Tiger Woods that was up 15 strokes at the U.S. Open, and they could start engraving the trophy early. I mean, we're almost at that point in time of the season, at the midway point of the SEC, that Devin Booker has separated himself from all other freshmen in the conference.
Let's check in with Shannon.
And Devin Booker, he has a very short memory. When he went through a little bit of a shooting slump earlier in the season, I asked him if his confidence ever went down. He just smiled, laughed, and said, "I'm a shooter. I shoot. I know it'll come back."
Well, one of the things they did, they worked on his release. His release was a little slow, and Coach Calipari talked about that early in October, and they wanted to speed up his release. So I think that caused a little bit of some of those misses that he had early on, and also understanding how to get yourself open. Reading screens, reading floor spacing to get to that high percentage shot.
Jurisic, nice move by Yemi in the lane. He's Georgia's leading scorer right now. Ulis, a kick to Harrison. He'll pull up inside the arc and came up short. And that's J.J. Frazier, who has yet to score. Gaines walked with it. So a 7-point lead right now for Kentucky. Coming up, the Farnham file, protecting the paint. My partner's going to tell you how to do it when we come back. I'll open it up, partner.
Well, you take a look at block shots and how you're able to create the opportunities to shore up and protect your rim. Willie Cauley-Stein, Karl Anthony Towns, they both have great anticipation, but they have different skill sets, and we're going to show you some of those skill sets as we go deeper into the Farnham file and take a look at some of the plays and the way that they're able to accomplish it. Let's first focus on Willie Cauley-Stein. Look on this particular play against Ole Miss. Watch his head as we zoom in, his vision, his awareness of where his man is, checking where the ball is, anticipating where the shot's going to come from, and then does an excellent job meeting it at its apex and then controlling it and giving it an opportunity to run out. This time it's Karl Anthony Towns. Help side position. Watch how quick he can jump, well, just once, but twice. 1.2 seconds. It took him to jump twice. It took the offensive player longer than that to jump once. Block shot for Kentucky, and then they work together so well. This time Karl Anthony Towns playing position defense. Willie Cauley-Stein comes over, They get the block shot, they secure the ball, and then it's out and running in the open floor. And when you've got the athleticism of Willie Cauley-Stein or Karl Anthony Towns, you're able to finish, and it just breaks the back of your opponents. And the defensive numbers, they speak for themselves over the course of this season.
Well, did an unbelievable job against your alma mater. I don't even want to bring that up for you, but you were talking about South Carolina. 1 field goal in the last 12.5 minutes and 4 turnovers during that time. They only have 1 block shot tonight. It is Cauley-Stein. That's his 202nd of his career, and he's the only Kentucky player ever to have over 200 block shots and 100 steals. And that goes with his 539 rebounds and 600 and some points. So he's proven to be quite a huge asset to Kentucky. When he first started his career here, I thought, I don't know if this guy's going to be that good. He's getting pretty good right now.
He's really good. He neutralizes, it's not just the block shots, but the steals, the on-ball screen defense. I've had coaches that have faced Kentucky this year tell me that when he's out on the floor and you try to elevate him out and put him in an on-ball screen situation, you actually work at a disadvantage instead of gaining the advantage by the switch.
They alter everything on the inside, and with that, sometimes your game just starts falling apart like Georgia right now. They're so worried about handling it on the perimeter, they're not even getting it in the paint right now.
Well, there's Willie Cauley-Stein that switched out in that position. Once again, hands up above his hips, defending, and it forces a poor pass by Georgia.
He's a guy that did a great job of coming back this year. Certainly didn't hurt his stock. His stock is going up, up, up. Not that he wouldn't have maybe been a lottery pick last year, but he's heading that way now.
You look at the numbers for Willie Cauley-Stein, and you say, okay, he's averaging, just a shade under 9 points per contest and 6 rebounds per game. But when you average it out over the 40-minute period, and that's one of the things that they do, the analytic breakdown here at Kentucky. I mean, his numbers and his efficiency are so strong that he's got an outstanding chance to be a first-team All-American, and I think he's still very much so in that discussion for the Wooden Award.
He's in the hunt for that. One of the 3 big guys from the SEC involved in that. So we approach the halfway point of the half. Andrew Harrison outside. He's just feeling it right now. He's only missed 1 of his shots. 6 points for Harrison.
Simplifying his game, playing with confidence, just stepping in and taking what the defense has given him.
Biggest lead of the night for Kentucky, up 11. Maton inside, waits, and scores.
That was a smart move by the freshman to come back to the strong side as it looked he was driving to the weak side of the hoop. 2 guys were closing in on. By going to the strong side, he utilized the rim to protect it and able to finish that shot.
Cauley-Stein came up a little bit short with a left hand. Echoes on a tipped rebound from Kessler. Charles Mann has had a tough time getting open. Here he is against Harrison. Just when you think you're going to have a size advantage on somebody, you run into the Harrison twins, and they're both 6'6". There's a nice move on the baseline. Earlier, Gaines did that, came up short. That time he got it off the window.
He used that strong upper body and his shoulders to bounce off of Willie Cauley-Stein.
Bakari Johnson, another big body, down low, working against Kessler with the left hand.
And you know what Coach Calipari's going to like more than anything there is he made a quick, decisive move. He's not just trying to bully his way down to the basket. They've been working on that at practice, catching the ball and quickly making a decisive move to the hoop.
And he threw it out, and they went right back into him as well. Here's Kessler. His dad could do that. His uncle could do that, and he can do that. Knocked down a 3. His first basket. And Georgia takes a timeout. 8:32 to go as they've cut it to 6.
Georgia's done a nice job when Kentucky has gone on these runs. They started the game on an 11-1 run, then they opened the lead up to 11, and every single time Georgia's been able to score a couple of baskets and tighten this thing back up. And you look at the last 2 baskets in particular, you get the switch in the corner and a nice job ripping through, and you see the upper body strength and getting into Willie Cauley-Stein's body, bouncing off of him to finish, and then the good job spotting up off the screen, the pick and pop, and drilling the 3-point shot for Kessler.
22-16, Georgia hanging in with the #1 team in the country without their top player again, Marcus Thornton, who averages over 13 points and 7 rebounds a game, out with a concussion that was suffered 7 days ago. And they had hoped sometimes that concussion protocol in a short window, you hope maybe 5 days, 7 days, something like that. And And Coach Fox said, I've only seen him once since it happened, and that was Sunday. And he said he didn't look that good. So hopefully Marcus will be back for the weekend game, as Georgia's got a home game on Saturday. Sean and I will be there. They take on Tennessee, and they're hoping to have their big guy back on the inside by then.
And Doug Tyndall's done a nice job with the Volunteers this season. I think one of the biggest surprises really in the SEC.
Harrison again over Frazier. Came up short this time, and J.J. with the rebound, and he's going to run with it as far as he can before the Wildcats cut him off. Eccles, long three. And we're going to have a foul on, let's see, it's going to be on Kentucky. It's going to be on Marcus Lee. I think the fans thought it was going to be on Houston Kessler.
They got to find out a way, though, for Georgia to get J.J. Frazier involved at the offensive end of the floor. Frazier has yet to attempt a shot.
I was going to say he hadn't taken one yet.
I mean, they've got to free him up, whether it's setting double staggered screens, whatever it may be, even maybe forcing the issue in transition and trying to get to the rim.
Here he is with Hawkins on him right now. He's not giving away quite as much height to Hawkins as he is to the Harrison twins. Jurisic set a pick for him, and now he draws a double team. That leaves Jurisic open momentarily. And Georgia turns it over again, and Kentucky looking to run. They got Booker in front.
That is just great defense, great rotation, out into a transition, and Tyler Ulis, his feel for the game, knowing exactly when he could deliver that pass.
They switch off. Eccles goes down deep to Kessler, and he's going to be fouled by Lee. That'll be 2 on Marcus Lee.
Kentucky doing a nice job at the defensive end of the floor and turning those opportunities into open floor opportunities, as Tyler Ulis was able to find Booker out in transition, a little stutter step, and finish. They're up by 8.
Kentucky with an 8-point lead. If you were worried you'd never see him again, Saturday primetime presented by DirecTV. Pursuit of perfection continues for the Wildcats. #1 Kentucky in Florida, Saturday 9 o'clock on ESPN. Part of the Journey to the Tourney presented by Sonic.
Well, I think we're going to see them, and I think we're going to see them pretty often down the stretch of this regular season and into the NCAA tournament. But you see the balance for Kentucky in the early stages of this game, the floor spacing, the ability to get everybody involved, the full arsenal of weapons that Coach Calipari has, and the unselfishness of this team. They have 7 assists on 10 made field goals in this game so far. They've done an outstanding job of sharing the basketball and setting their teammates up to be successful.
And somehow, with 7:17 to go, you're almost looking at the scoreboard going, I'm surprised Kentucky's not up 25. Georgia has hung around, and they haven't had good shots, but they are shooting 54.5%.
8 turnovers,
is
what's hurt Georgia in this game so far. But they have done a much better job as of late getting themselves into a rhythm.
And J.J. Frazier has yet to take a shot. Shannon?
Brad, that's exactly what Mark Fox just said to his guys. He said, listen, we didn't start off very strong, but look at where we are right now. Couple free throws away, and we're right back into this game. He said you have to guard the three-point line. Do you want to go out there and make a name for yourself, or do you want to let him run all over you? But he is getting his guys in this game.
Well, Houston Kessler, one of the guys that has had to come up to the plate, has just hit his career high. He's got 4 points, and he cut the lead to 7. Ulis got a wide open look around a screen, and Jurisic, nice position in front of Cauley-Stein to pull down the rebound.
Yeah, Maton didn't even come up to defend that screen, and they're willing to give up the outside shot. They don't want to give up points in the paint. That time it worked for Georgia.
Maton triple teamed, and on the kick out, Eccles stepped on the sideline. There's another turnover. #9.
You have to limit empty possessions. If you're going to beat Kentucky, you have to limit those possessions where you don't even get a look.
Kentucky 9 points off turnovers. Of Georgia's 9 turnovers, they've turned every one into at least a point.
And that's kind of the ratio you want to see.
Yeah.
You want to see at least a 1-to-1 ratio. That's good. Anything above that is outstanding.
From from the elbow. Towns missed. And now Mann brings it with Gaines, who flies in and short-armed it, but Jurisic is there for the tip-in.
At times, Kentucky can get caught standing, watching the ball, relying on their athleticism to corral it in at the defensive end of the floor. And nice job working the weak side to finish that one.
I would bet if you told Mark Fox at the 6-minute mark he'd be down 5, he might say, okay, I'll take that right now and preserve my guys' energy for the other 26 minutes that's yet to come.
Down 5 and really haven't had their key components yet really get going.
Aaron Harrison misses, and the backside rebound is going to be a foul on Towns trying to get the board.
Now, Jurisic on that last possession for Georgia, as we're going to show you, in transition, you get to the weak side of the glass. Everybody's trying to go over for the block shot. Nobody puts a body on him. Really, that was Devin Booker who should have slid in front of him and pushed him out.
Jurisic right now leading Georgia with 9 points and 3 boards. Keeping them in the game. They can cut it to 3 on this trip if they don't turn it over, which they just did. Charles Mann's a preseason all-SEC performer, and he's not playing like it here in the first half.
You have 4 points from Mann, Gaines, and Frazier combined. And as you mentioned, partner, they're only down 5.
Yep. So if one of those guys starts to come through, or all 3 do, they've maybe got a shot. Ulis open 3. Got it.
Well, he's got a shot. He had a wide open shot.
Nobody near him.
You saw in the previous possession he missed it as they stayed underneath, willing to give up that 3-point shot. Mayton's got to make the decision to come out and contest.
Jurisic wasn't quite ready to handle that pass out on top. And Mann had it swatted away. Mayton picks up the second chance, and now Stein lost it out of bounds. And for a second, that looked like the second to last play, third to last play in the Super Bowl. Ball was off everybody's knees and feet. And
what a catch. What a game.
Yeah, what a game. What a finish.
All I know, though, is this. If I had Marshawn Lynch,
yeah,
I'm running the ball.
Yeah, I know.
If I have Willie Cauley-Stein and Karl Anthony Towns,
yeah, I'd be playing them inside, swatting shots.
Yeah, I'm going to get down low and dominate the paint.
So Georgia's got a fresh shot clock at the 5-minute mark. Frazier,
he's got to take that shot.
Yeah, he should have taken it.
You know, and he's taking shots like that all season long. Off balance, off one leg. At least get a look.
They enter it into Jurisic. Nice move. Couldn't get it around those long arms of Cauley-Stein on the hook shot. And Ulis running the other way. Towns takes that big body in and scores. And it's a 10-point lead again.
Tyler Ulis drives in, looks at the trees, and says, I'm going to hand this one off to the big fella. Let him go across the end zone line and score.
All 6'11", 255 pounds of it. Tell you what, Jurisic is battling for position down there, though. He's drawing some double teams. He's had some pretty good moves underneath. Couldn't finish that one.
Needs someone else to help him out, though. He's had a good first half.
Nice hook. Yeah, the big body's down low. And this guy's got the last 2 buckets for Kentucky.
On the basketball side, the last time they had 6 SEC teams ranked in the top 20 was back in 2008. You see teams like Vandy, who have already got a great freshman class this past year. Texas A&M getting back into Dallas. LSU with #1 Ben Simmons going to there. Kentucky, of course, at #1. Florida always consistently right there. South Carolina and Auburn. There's a shift coming in the SEC right now. And what that shift is a much deeper conference. We've already seen that so far this season, but it's going to get even deeper and stronger next season. I think that bodes well for everybody. There's still many more names, by the way, to be added to that list by the time signing day happens for basketball, and 19 out of the top 100 right now have committed to SEC schools, and you know that man's going to be adding a couple more.
Sure. It's reload time in Lexington every year. Somewhat like it is at Alabama in football. Towns a kick out. Booker for three. Gaines pulls it off the backside. Georgia hasn't had a good look from the outside the whole night. That was decent, and Gaines followed his own miss, but he still couldn't get it to go.
How assertive has Karl Anthony Towns become in this game?
Yeah, for sure. And Booker, oh man, that was a blow-by right there.
Okay, so you know the scouting report says he can shoot the three. Now you're going to try to run him off the line. And you know what he says? That's fine. I'll take two. What a move.
I was just going to say to you today when you were talking about potential lottery picks, I said, well, he can shoot from the outside, but what else can he do? He just showed me something.
Devin Booker's got the arsenal, and he has continued to make a name for himself. His on-ball defense.
He may not have 10 assists or 5 rebounds a game, but Kessler for three. And Houston Kessler's got 7.
When Devin Booker was getting recruited, he was not noted as necessarily a shutdown defender. Still isn't. But he is much improved at that end of the floor as well. It's not just about the offensive game.
Then he gave it up to Harrison, who lobs it to Cauley-Stein. Without looking, Harrison to Cauley-Stein. And it's a 14-point lead again. And a double dribble. Another unforced turnover. That's number 12. And we still have 2 minutes to go in the half.
The defense, you get the ball in the middle of the zone, and when it gets there, nice job passing, a little dribble penetration. It forced the back line of the defense to step up, and when you've got the length and athleticism, just throw it up, because they'll throw it down.
That's a high percentage shot.
Just a beautiful job of unselfishness within the offense for Kentucky here in the first half.
When you consider that Aaron Harrison is their leading scorer at 11.5 points a game, you know they have to be unselfish. This guy's just feeling it tonight. Andrew Harrison. His 4th field goal, his first 3. And Georgia in a deep hole. Frazier almost lost it again in the lane. Did get the pass to Mayton. I think he was fouled before the shot. No, the basket's good.
Last possession. Throw the ball deep in the corner, and Andrew Harrison, without thinking about it, got his feet squared, his shoulders were squared, his release was perfect. They're forcing Georgia to run so hard at the defensive end of the floor just to try to stay with where they're at, and this is where the depth really comes into play.
Yeah.
You just try to get through the last minute and 40 right now if you're Georgia. Try to regroup, see if you can make a push to start in the second half, and then you got to try to maintain it. And that's the wear down factor that we've seen all season long from Kentucky.
Thought Harrison was going to take another one right there. He might. He will. He got it. And Georgia almost turned it over again. It will be Dogs' ball if they can get Kenny Gaines up. He hit the deck hard down there. Last thing they need is another injury.
It's good to see him bounce up. Well, I'll tell you what, though, if you're going to close out right now to Andrew Harrison and you're Charles Mann, you cannot have your hands down by the side, and that's what happened there. Originally closed out with his hands up, then a little hesitation by Harrison. He dropped his hands. As soon as Mann drops his hands, that's a shot.
Harrison saw that and buried it for his second 3 in a row. And 12 points for the game to lead all scorers right now. Mann has yet to hit a field goal. Mayton trying to make something happen, at least drew a foul on the inside from Karl Anthony Towns. Will be his second.
Well, Mayton's one of those guys that with Marcus Thornton out, you need to get better production from for Georgia. And over the last 2 games, he really hasn't had the kind of production that's necessary. He had 2 for 10 shooting. Really just about 3 points per game. But this is a young man who was the Gatorade State Player of the Year for the state of Michigan.
Well, it doesn't help they got hit by a car on January 11th.
That is true.
That does not help your cause at all. And Mark Fox said today to us, I know more about concussions in the last month than I thought I'd ever have to know. Marcus Thornton, of course, out, and then the young man at the free throw line hit by a car on January 11th and missed some time and had a big tear in his right ear. That looks better right now, and he'll come around. He's going to be a good player. He shows flashes, but I'm sure that took a lot out of him. Here's Aaron Harrison. That one went halfway down and came back out.
Well, I think you're right on Maton, too. I think when you look at him down the road, projecting where he'll be an all-conference player for Georgia. I think he has that kind of upside.
Georgia would love to get a good shot here. Try to cut into this lead a little bit before halftime.
I'd love to see J.J. Frazier just get a shot at. I don't even care if it's a good one.
He's standing over here in the right corner, kind of waiting on it. They don't get it to him. And instead, now they almost turned it over. 4 seconds on the shot clock now for Georgia. So it's going to be a catch and shoot for somebody. And Jurisic, knowing that he is a good outside shooter, Mark Fox brings him back in. And we got a few words going on between. Almost had a dog and cat fight.
Well, Frazier's going to go to the bench. And a problem for Georgia and a problem for Coach Fox is that he's played 20 minutes and was unable to get a clean look up.
Got to shoot it. Nathan got it away, but it's an air ball. It's a shot clock violation. It goes back to Kentucky.
And he's got a great skill set, but creating his own shot with 4 seconds left to go on the shot clock is not one of them for the young freshman.
I don't think he was aware there was only 4 seconds left, and that's part of being a freshman, too. He kind of dribbled around as if, and then somebody finally told him, shoot. So now Kentucky's got an opportunity for the last shot. Up by 15 and looking for more. Booker, and he's fouled by Charles Mann. .1 remaining, and Booker goes to the free throw line, shooting 85% from the stripe.
You know, all of his numbers are just almost video game like. I mean, you think 51% from the field, 51% from the three-point line. Of course, he misses it.
Of course, we talked him into that one. Kessler not going to get a shot away. And again, Georgia had enough time to get a shot, didn't get one. They go to the locker room with Kentucky in command.
I love the unselfishness I saw. I love the execution and the pressure at the defensive end of the floor.
Let's check in with Shannon.
Coach, every game right now is about minimizing mistakes and moving forward. How do you think your guys have done in this first half?
Good. I like how we posted the ball. I thought our execution was fairly good. A few breakdowns on the pick and roll, which gave them easy baskets, probably 3 or 4 baskets. But we need to be an energy team, and I think we're showing some of that.
You knew that Georgia was going to try to hit the threes. What do you think about your perimeter defense?
Not bad, but in pick and roll, Marcus, we were switching, and he didn't switch. And they threw to the guy for threes. That happens sometimes.
Thanks, Coach.
Well, the only threes for Georgia were the big guys. Kessler had 2, Jurisic had 1. But the big guy for Kentucky inside, Karl Anthony Towns, great first half. They lead 42-27 as we head to the USPNU halftime report. Brendan and Dino are standing by, guys. Where we are at Rupp Arena as we're just about set to start the second half. It's 42-27. Brad Nessler, Sean Farnham, Shannon Spake. Well, partner, we thought maybe Georgia had a shot in this. Kentucky ran out to an 11-1 lead, and they really haven't looked back.
Well, they've done it with great balance. It's been inside and outside approach. And you look at the first half numbers, they assisted on 76% of their made field goals. A lot of those off the hands of Andrew Harrison. But it wasn't just about his 5 assists and 0 turnovers. It was the flow that he got in offensively, and it happened on the first possession. He worked the baseline, got a good, clean look. He's 5 of 9 in the first half. Really hasn't forced any aspect of his offensive game. Meanwhile, for Karl Anthony Towns, down low on the block is where you want to dominate. You get 2 feet in the paint, give him the ball, and let him finish. He has 11 points. 6 of the team's 11 rebounds at the break have also come on his hands, and he's done an outstanding job controlling the paint and dominating.
We knew that with Marcus Thornton out, Georgia had to find somebody to fill it in. Yemi Jurisic has done a pretty good job, but your recipe for success included J.J. Frazier and he's 0 for.
Yeah, it's missing some ingredients right now. If you're going to have success and try to knock off a team like Kentucky, you've got to thrive in these areas. They've been limited in their second chance points. They have not scored while Kentucky has. Kentucky is +6 in fast break points. That's not to mention just the transition looks, and the JJ effect has been no effect. 0 field goal attempts in 16 minutes. They need to find a way to get him involved in this offense in the second half for the Bulldogs.
Let's head down to the baseline and Shannon Spake.
Well, Sean, Brad, for Coach Fox, he told me the ingredient that's missing is simply his guard play. He said, man, Frazier, Gaines, they have only scored 4 points between those 3 guys. He said they've got to step up. They've got to start scoring some more. As far as the turnovers, he said, listen, we're getting some open looks. We just have to play with more poise and stop turning the ball over.
Yeah, they had 12 in the first half.
Well, you think about that. Man, Gaines, and Frazier combined 2 of 9 shooting.
And they should be, you know, they're guys that should put together 35, 36 points between them, just on average.
Well, and that's the balanced approach that Georgia needs to have. And
right.
we talked about it when we had them on the season opener of the SEC Super Tuesday package against Arkansas. The balanced scoring approach, how they maybe don't have that one guy that can explode, but they do it as a collective unit and group. And right now it hasn't been that way.
And actually, Kessler and Mayton have each scored 7 and Jurisic 9, so they're not getting anything from the backcourt. Everything's coming from the big guys, and it's not nearly enough. They have trailed by as many as 17, and as we start the second half, Kentucky up 15. Towns, the kick out to Harrison. Andrew Harrison's on the floor right now. Cauley Stein down low. Left hook, got it. Nice shot.
They start putting all these pieces together, and you remember we were talking about the pursuit of perfection, and it is really one game at a time for this group, but they just keep getting better and better, and the focus and the attention to detail as far as what they need to do. Coach Calipari told us today at shoot around, I'm not asking my guys to do 20 things right. I just want them focusing on 3 things at a time.
And if they do 3 or 4 things at a time right, as deep as they are, they very seldom lose at Rupp. Coach Calipari, in his 6 years here, 97-4 in this building. So Georgia knew they had maybe a puncher's chance tonight, and they're going to have to start punching, especially from the outside. They've got to get something out of this guy, Charles Mann, this guy, J.J. Frazier. And Gaines was over here on the left baseline.
You see the versatility. Willie Cauley-Stein's been matched up with Mann this entire possession.
Mann's going to at least take it to him and draw a foul.
For the first initial moments of that possession, Willie Cauley-Stein was doing an excellent job squaring his feet. And then he just gave up a little bit too much ground and too much of an angle and allowed Mann to turn the corner. Mann a season ago was all SEC second team, was outstanding at getting to the free throw line. 11th in the nation last year in free throws attempted, and you see the numbers tonight, 1 point. And this is coming from a player that's averaging over 11 points per contest.
One of the many players, Georgia natives, I should say, on this team. Played at Milton High School in Alpharetta.
A season ago, turnovers were a big issue for this backcourt for Georgia. And tonight, and this player in particular, Charles Mann, he has struggled. 4 turnovers in the first half, and he's had 5 games this year with 5 or more turnovers, and he's probably going to eclipse that mark again tonight.
I always wonder sometimes if you give somebody 2 free ones, if that gets their eye going a little bit. Let's see if the next time he gets an open look, if he can knock down a jump shot.
We've seen that time and time again. That's why I think J.J. Frazier's got to drive and throw his body into somebody.
Harrison just threw his body over J.J. Frazier. 15 for Andrew Harrison, double his average.
He's seen the ball go through the rim all night long, and he's starting the second half just as he did the first. You see, J.J. Frazier's got to attack. He's got to,
even if it's from out there. There you go. You called it. You've been calling it the whole game.
Just shoot the ball. Get it up on the iron. He's got a great touch, and that one from beyond NBA range.
And he took it over the biggest guy on the floor. But if that's what it takes, that's what it's going to take to shoot Georgia back in this somehow. Mann pulled off the backside rebound. Georgia hadn't scored much in transition either. Frazier lets a guy go by and tries another one. And got his own miss. Feeds Jurisic underneath, and he's got it blocked, but he's fouled.
Well, see, you're making something happen out on the floor, though. If you're J.J. Frazier, you want to make something happen. That's energy that is desperately needed. And a good job on the previous possession, coming off the screen. And Willie Cauley-Stein kind of lays back a little bit. And when you recognize that he's laying back, J.J. Frazier's got that kind of range.
Jurisic, 73% free throw shooter, misses his first. Towns goes out. He's got 3 fouls. It's always nice, though, when you take your 6'11" guy out and you put in your 7-footer, Dakari Johnson. A little bit of a luxury, and take out one Harrison that you can't remember which one's which and put in the other one. In this case, Andrews sits, Aaron comes in.
Well, that was the big storyline last year. I think when one played poorly, that everybody kind of just lumped them together instead of recognizing that they're 2 separate players with 2 different skill sets.
Yeah. It's amazing, though. Their career highs in every category are almost identical as they are. So on any given night, it can be one or the other. In this case, it's Andrew tonight with 3 threes and 15 points. Here's Booker lining up. Johnson tried to tip it in, and Mayton took it away from him. And then there's going to be a foul on Dakari Johnson. That'll be his second.
Twice they've run that baseline screen, and they've been able to get Booker a good look here in the second half, unable to drop it in both times. But the execution is still there for Kentucky. I think that's the key thing. You start to worry about when you get a lead is how do you execute, how do you play with a lead. Kentucky's played with a lead, obviously, for a majority of this season, rarely coming from behind.
Right.
And they're executing really well.
Jurisic had it knocked away, and Cauley-Stein ended up on the Georgia bench. And wouldn't Mark Fox like to have somebody like him on the Georgia bench?
Well, and this is one of the things that we talk about. When you're playing Kentucky, one of the more difficult things to do is simulate what they're going to do. And you go to shoot around, and you're like, okay, so guys, this is Andrew Harrison, and it's a manager who's like 5'6".
Yeah.
You know, and
wearing
like,
a blue jersey.
Yeah, you're like, that doesn't really look like Andrew Harrison. I'm pretty sure he can't do what Andrew Harrison does. And then, you know, your big down low is probably 6'3". And then all of a sudden you come out here and you're playing against guys that are 6'10", 6'11", can jump out of the gym.
Ulis overplayed that pass and came up with a steal.
If you have that kind of length on your bench or on your scout team and you're not playing them, probably going to get fired.
Wow. And Ulis knocks down his second 3 of the night. And just like that, when Georgia had closed the gap a little bit, Kentucky goes back up 17. Mark Fox has seen enough. And a timeout, Georgia, with 16 and a half to go in the game.
And Tyler Ulis coming off the screen, seeing the space, the weapons, they're all over the place for the Cats. And the scoreboard, it indicates it.
Kentucky by 17 again. Everybody getting in the act. Tyler Ulis with the last 3. And even with that, in a 17-point lead, John Calipari never quits. Never stops coaching.
Well, and it's about the process for Kentucky and accepting the challenge of the moment and realizing that there's always moments of growth to be had.
And on the other side, Mark Fox told his team today after the shoot-around, he said, guys, we're going to be a really good team when we become whole again, meaning they ever get the injured guys back, including their best player, Marcus Thornton, who's out with a concussion. They've also got Kenny Gino Paul, who's been out with a broken wrist. Juwan Parker has missed the last 5 games with a kind of an Achilles strain, maybe worse than a strain. Here's Frazier for 3, and it got it.
Well, right now, Georgia's got 13 turnovers, and Kentucky has turned them into 18 points.
Yeah.
You know, that's the efficiency that you want to see out of a team.
Aaron Harrison on a long 3. Jurisic all alone for the rebound. Man with Harrison all over him. Dishes inside. Nice feed to Jurisic.
A beautiful pocket pass that time by Mann.
And John Calipari is not going to wait for the TV timeout. He's going to take a 30-second timeout right here, as its lead has been cut down to 12 from 17. Actually from 18 earlier in this half.
Well, and you watch the offensive execution this time by Georgia. Nice reverse dribble. Defense steps up. Little pocket pass, dump down as the defense, the back line of the defense had to elevate up that time when Willie Cauley-Stein, and they gave up the easy 2 uncontested along the back line.
Georgia has executed much better in the opening 4 minutes and change of this half than they did in the opening 4 minutes of the ball game. And Yemi Jurisic has been a big part of it. The senior out of Montenegro had 9 points in the first half. He's done it on the outside, on the inside. He's a good outside shooter, dropping down a 3 there. Part of his 4 field goals in the first half. Little finger roll before halftime. And then a putback right here as he got up in midair and kissed it off the glass. So he's been the leading guy for Georgia tonight, 12 and 4, which is right about on his average, a little over his average in scoring and just under his rebounding average. Cauley-Stein asking for it. Hawkins can't get it to him. And now Kentucky turns it over for only the 4th time tonight. And the lay-in by Kenny Gaines. And it's down to 10. First time it's been that close in a long time. In fact, the last time it was around 20-9 when it was an 11-point lead.
Well, this Georgia team's going to fight, and they've done that all season long. And even without Marcus Thornton, they're not going to just wilt away here down the stretch.
Andrew Harrison had one come out on him from 15 feet, right from the free throw line. And then on the rebound, Dakari Johnson is fouled. I think they're going to call that on Charles Mann. Why would one of the keys to Kentucky's success this season come from being ranked 187th in the NCAA and something? We'll tell you about that when we come back. Kentucky's lead's been cut to 10, just under 15 to play. You know, if you and I were ranked 1,087th, we probably wouldn't be doing this game. But what's Kentucky got over us?
Well, what they've got is versatility and depth. 8 different players averaging the 18-plus minutes. 7 different players averaging 7+ points per game. The multiple of weapons, guys that can step up and lead the team in scoring on different nights. And I think it's been one of the things. It's not just a physical thing, but it's a psychological aspect and why they're successful.
There's the 1,087th. Wow.
Right, those numbers, you know, you look at all the talent, and I think everybody goes, well, man, they got to be throwing up monster numbers. But it's because the willingness, the unselfishness of this group to embrace this whole platoon system and the execution of it throughout the course of the season. And happy birthday, Whit.
Yeah.
And she's probably not part of the platoons. but their ability to embrace this system, this idea, and you have to give Coach Calipari the credit because he got out in front of this thing. You know, he knew that guys were going to criticize players and say, oh, this guy should be playing more minutes, or that guy should be playing more minutes. And he had his team prepared for those moments just as much as he has had his teams prepared for the opponents that they face.
Check in with Shannon. She's got more on that.
You guys mentioned how he continues to coach despite the lead in this game, and in that last time out he was talking about effort from his guys. He wants to see a little bit more. He also mentioned some of the mistakes. He said, guys, their points are coming off our mistakes. Something to watch for.
They just made a mistake not boxing out on a rebound. It may not cost him, although Georgia's going to have a 3rd attempt, and they got that one. Mayton scores on the inside, and it's down to single digits, my friend.
And good, strong aggressiveness underneath by Mayton.
There's the guy that's felt it all night. This one comes out, though, and Cauley-Stein knocked it away from J.J. Frazier. Georgia down 9 with the basketball.
You make a couple of shots, all of a sudden you start to feel a little bit more confident of your abilities to find a quality shot. And you mentioned it, Mann getting to the free throw line. Frazier knocking down his first of now 2 3-point shots that he's made.
This is as close as it's been since the 11-minute mark of the first half. All of a sudden, there's a little hush in Rupp Arena. You wouldn't think 24,000 could be quiet, but they're worried right now. More than they were 5 minutes ago, anyway. Mann, the crossover against Lee, trying to draw a foul and didn't get it. But there's Mayton again. And now the second time, Mann can't get it. Look out. Bodies all over the place. Kentucky's got numbers momentarily. And Harrison had it knocked away, and Georgia got it back. Gaines. Jurisic had it blocked, but fouled by Marcus Lee. And Lee's got 3, and all of a sudden, it's a little bit of foul trouble on Kentucky's side.
Well, coming off of what appeared to be some contact down at the Kentucky end of the floor that was not called. A little shot fake, enough to draw the focus of the official. I think what got him was not the action up top, but the arm bar down low on the body.
So Nemanja at the free throw line, where he's 1 out of 2 tonight. Kessler comes back in, and Mayton goes out.
Mayton providing some good strength underneath.
Yeah, he did. 9 points on the game, which is double his average. And he missed both free throws. So Georgia's left some out there at the line tonight. And the lead stays at 9. And a foul on Jurisic. And that's his third.
Again, looking to try to get Booker freed up in the corner.
And he's going to be the trigger man, and he might get it right back. Nope, Towns is going to bring it out on top to Ulis. Big guys net right now. Karl Anthony Towns, who's got it, and Marcus Lee. Paulie Stein's on the bench. Andrew Harrison, who's had the hot hand all night.
No, just a great job getting to the spot, and then a nice job ducking in by Karl Anthony Towns to make sure there's nobody going to step up and contest that shot.
Georgia really hasn't had anybody get in his face tonight. His looks have been good throughout the night. And with that, 17 points. That's a season high, as a matter of fact, for Harrison. Gaines for 3. Towns the outlet to Booker. Ulis wisely pulls it out as Kentucky was a man short into the front court. And now they go to their half-court set with an 11-point lead.
And strong and aggressive to look to attack, but then a smart, heady move by Tyler Ulis to pull it right back out.
Harrison, nice pass, the extra one to Lee, and he's fouled by Kenny Gaines. That was some quick ball movement underneath by the Wildcats. Well, college football, you think about trying to win a playoff, all starts when you start recruiting. And tomorrow morning at 8 a.m., ESPNU starts 11 hours of coverage with reporters all over the place. All the college campuses will have announcements from 6 of the top 10 players. It's signing day. I have friends that take tomorrow off. They know who they are. They're probably watching the game just for signing day.
I thought that was why you're taking tomorrow off.
No, I'm just taking tomorrow off because it's going to take me a while to get home from Lexington.
I'll make my way down to Baton Rouge, Auburn, LSU on Thursday night. Of course, Kentucky plays LSU a week from tonight
in Baton Rouge.
We talk about length and size underneath, and Martin and Mickey,
yeah,
their ability to disrupt the interior presence, their ability to rebound and score the basketball.
They match up with these guys a little bit, at least lengthwise.
The key is going to be their ability to hold the ball without turning over. At times, Josh Gray gets a little loose with the ball. And when he struggles, usually the team struggles.
Forte spins inside with a left hand. Pretty nice move, and he drew a foul from Marcus Lee, who has 4 fouls now. 11:42 remaining in the ball game. Kentucky clinging to a 12-point lead. There's a couple guys that can talk basketball. One could play and one could coach. Joe Hall on the left and the great Big O, Oscar Robertson, on the right. 3-time All-American at Cincinnati, long-time NBA Hall of Famer. And Andrew Harrison, not exactly playing like Big O tonight, but he's playing as well as we've seen him play all year.
You know, around these parts of Kentucky, they talk about the limestone, how important that is for a certain beverage that they make around these parts. They also say that the horses can get stronger by feeding on the grass because of the limestone. Maybe it's the limestone that is making Andrew Harrison have the performance he's having tonight. 17 points, 6 assists, and only 1 turnover, and he's 7 of 13 overall from the floor. He has had an outstanding game.
His 17 points is season high. There you see him talking.
I got some local knowledge last night.
I heard you did. Well, you had good company.
I did.
And it wasn't me, if everybody's thinking that. I stayed in my room last night, but your lovely bride was along. and she showed you the sights.
You know, I love taking my wife to a game every year. Try to find a venue that's special and unique. And so you talk about college basketball. You talk about Rupp Arena, this team, this year, this environment, the tradition, the pride that this program has. It's one of the finest environments in all of college basketball.
I heard some of the local establishments were pretty kind to you last night, too.
They always are.
11-point Kentucky lead. Here's Aaron Harrison on the drive, lost it on the way up. Man, Georgia's got numbers. If they don't waste it, they waste it. Another dog turnover. Those are those things, like you said, when you get a possession, you get a stop on one end against Kentucky, you can't come down and just give it right back.
11-point deficit, and you see the turnover numbers, and you look down and you see the points off of turnovers at 18. You know, if you just value the basketball, you give yourself a chance, and you have to credit Kentucky's defense for that.
Harrison rimmed out at 3. That one looked like it was true as well when it left his hand.
We talk about the steals. We talk about the ability to block shots and how they've consistently done that over the course of the year. But they force you out of your comfort zone. And a lot of those turnovers, those dead ball turnovers, they don't lead to runouts, are created because of the pressure defense.
Yeah, they don't have as many blocks tonight, but every time Georgia tries to go inside, something like that happens. And it ends up being a loose ball, knocked out of bounds. It'll still be Georgia basketball with 10:41 to go. Kentucky only has 2 block shots tonight, one by Karl Anthony Towns and one by Willie Cauley-Stein. Again, it has not been Charles Mann night. He's got the ball right now against Ulis. That's a mismatch height-wise, though. He did get a shot away, drew a foul underneath. And it's on Cauley-Stein.
When you think about the SEC overall right now, and Georgia had that nice 5-game win streak, we're feeling really good about themselves. And sometimes, even when you just play Kentucky tight, you can give yourself confidence. Look at what Texas A&M has done. You know, Texas A&M came in, hosted Kentucky. The game goes to double overtime, and all of a sudden, Coach Kennedy's able to say, guys, we can play with anybody. Yeah. Look how we pushed the #1 team in the country. We can play with anybody, and now they've rattled off 6 consecutive victories and have put themselves 2nd place overall in the SEC.
And Mark Fox was hoping for 6 straight, too, before losing Marcus Thornton last week and then having to play South Carolina without him. And that was their largest defeat of the year, losing by 17 on Saturday.
And I think the rest of the nation's starting to realize just how deep this conference is. Joe Lunardi's recent bracketology has 6 teams in out of the SEC.
I mentioned earlier, when we get together Saturday, it's going to be halfway through the conference season, or it's going to be actually the beginning of the second half of the conference season. So if you've been watching football the whole time, guess what? It's basketball time. And we're halfway through this half. Mann on the drive with a left hand. Well, that's the best move he's had tonight. He keeps it a single-digit game with 9:55 to go.
And finally, first made field goal.
Yep. Both Harrisons in there right now. This is Aaron. Nice spin move to the baseline. Block shot by Maton, though.
Boy, he's playing strong. He's giving some good quality minutes.
Well, he just gave the ball back.
Well, now he wants to be very giving.
Nice hustle by Andrew Harrison. Here's his brother missing a 3. Georgia gets the ball back anyway.
And Aaron struggling over the course of this game.
He's normally the guy that's knocking down the 3s and the jump shots, and it's his brother this time around.
And now 0 for the game still. 0 for 4 overall, all of them coming from beyond the arc.
Jerisic thought about a 3. Cauley-Stein was right there with him. Forte dribbled himself into some traffic. Maton got the jumper from 17 feet away. It's as good as he's played all year.
And he's got 11.
And the lead's down to 7. Last time it was a 7-point difference. It was 8-1 at the beginning of the game. And Harrison into some traffic and some trouble, but he did draw a foul from either Mann or Forte. It's going to be on Forte. That's his 3rd. Kessler's going to come back in, and Mann's going to get a breather. as Mark Fox wants to get man an extra 38 seconds at least of rest. Same with Mayton, with the next TV time out coming up shortly.
Mayton working on a near double-double with 11 points and 8 rebounds.
And already that's a career high in rebounds for him. Got for this guy. If he gets hot, he's going to give it off to Cauley Stein. And was almost tipped in by a couple of people, regardless of jersey color. And instead, Georgia comes out of the pack with it. Oh, and again,
this can't happen.
Terrible turnover.
It just cannot happen. You're fighting your way back into this game. It's 8 minutes left to go. You're trailing by 7, and you kind of feel like this building's starting to get a little tense, and you just throw it away. Unforced error.
Yeah. Cauley Stein on a drive off the window, a little too strong. Well, there's been some missed shots now in the last 3 trips by Kentucky. They're leaving the door, at least a little crack in the door here for Georgia. And a blocking foul on Cauley Stein. And that's his 3rd. A little bit of foul trouble with the big guys for Kentucky, and their lead's been cut to 7. Here it's 56-49. Reminder, pair of Big 12 contenders square off Saturday on ESPNU. It's Baylor and West Virginia, both ranked in the top 20. Saturday at noon on ESPNU, your home court of college hoops. We've got 7:27 remaining here. Arcade partner, I'm going to give you this. Georgia's going to have 18 turnovers. It's 7:27 to go. What's the score going to be?
It's going to be a blowout. And that's what you're thinking in your mind.
Right.
But it's been anything but that, because Georgia has got a great deal of fight to them, and they've shown that here in the second half. And their ability, it started with Frazier knocking down the three-point shot, getting the offense going, back-to-back three-pointers. And then while Kentucky started to struggle a little bit and not finish as crisply as they were in the first half around the rim, you've seen some toughness out of Georgia, and in particular, it's been the freshman Yante Mayton. He knocks down that shot as he's got 11 and 8. And the interior guys stepped up in the first half. They need some guys in the second half to step up from the guard position. Man just made his first basket in the second half, and to put themselves in a position here now with just under 8 minutes to still be in this game.
Georgia actually only has 16 turnovers, so I take that back. But nonetheless, they're within 7 right now, and Kentucky is 2 for its last 10 from the floor. And that's why we got a relatively close game right now as we check in with Shannon.
Guys, Mark Fox down there on the bench is just telling his guys, you got to just keep competing, telling him on defense, just keep getting some stops down there. They know that they have worked their way back into this game. It was a very positive huddle, just a lot of, let's get going, let's continue doing what we're doing.
Pretty much what his message was at the shoot-around today, too. Said, hey, we came here to play. We didn't come here to lie down for these guys. And there was a point in the first half where it looked like maybe that's what they were going to do, but certainly not in the second half, as they've stayed right here with Kentucky. And with the Wildcats missing a few shots, and Georgia's going to the free throw line right now where they can make this a 5-point game. Now, they have left some out there at the free throw line, or it would be even closer than it is right now.
But what they've done in the game, you see the numbers right there. Once again, they're making more free throws than their opponents are attempting.
And a short arm shot there by Forte, who's missed 2 of his 3.
I think about Jerzic, he missed 2 in a row, and now Forte misses the front end of a one-on-one.
So we're 7 minutes away from seeing if Kentucky can go to 22-0 and stay perfect. But another turnover, so another dead trip down the floor for them.
A good job probing the defense that time and then pulling it back out. Now you need to make sure you just get a clean look at the rim if you're Georgia.
This is their best shooter, but it's also their smallest player.
And you got to get the ball inside the three-point line. They've yet to do that so far.
Jerzic probably is their second best three-point shooter. There goes from Frazier. Missed the shot. Rebound comes off to Aaron Harrison. He and Andrew bring it down together. And we're under 6.5 to go. Kentucky content on this trip to use some clock up here. And then they got it to Booker for 3. In and out. Jurisic with a rebound.
And they've had looks like that throughout the course of the second half. They just haven't fallen. The execution has been there. They've got the quality shot.
Yep.
They just haven't had the finish.
Gaines drives, left hand, too strong. Outlet to Booker if he can beat Frazier to the hole. He does.
That was a great outlet pass. And then a great job by Booker realizing Frazier was coming on. And he just had to space himself. Downshift, shield with your body, the ability to finish.
Don't think Mark Fox was crazy about a no call on Kenny Gaines' drive inside, which is this play. But I don't see a foul there. And then a great outlet, as you said.
Just a beautiful pass. And then look at the composure. You know, a lot of times you see a guy catch the ball and he wants to pound the rock as hard as he can, try to get to the rim. But instead, Devin Booker, he downshifts and surveys and sees what the defense is doing. He goes, okay, good. I got a nice, easy, smooth finish.
And with that, a 9-point lead with 5.5 to go.
Old-fashioned finish.
Very fashionable. Well, the Wildcats have won their last 6 conference games by an average of 21 points. And they're having to scrap for this one.
Well, Coach Fox has done a great job with Georgia this season. And, you know, coming into the year, they knew they had some experience. They knew Marcus Thornton was back. They felt a little bit of that sour taste in their mouth from a year ago, feeling like they got left out of the NCAA tournament, playing some great basketball down the stretch. And this year they got some good wins in their non-conference that I think has elevated them. Their strength of schedule overall much improved as it is across the SEC this year. And then a strong start to conference play after really starting 0-2. They bounced back with 5 straight.
And Ulis caught holding Frazier.
Well, this will get Frazier to the free throw line. Now, Frazier hasn't attempted a free throw in this game, but he has been living at the line over the last 3 games. In fact, 24 of 28 from the free throw line over the last 3 games.
And an 85% free throw shooter. He missed 1 at the shoot-around today, and he made himself do push-ups after he missed that one.
It's kind of like when I make an error on air. You make me do push-ups behind the broadcast table here.
And it's hard because you get the cord on your headset all tangled up.
It's hard.
Got them both.
He's the guy you want at the line.
Yep.
Down the stretch of this game, if he gets to the free throw line, that's ideal for Georgia.
Well, the Kentucky lead at 7 again as we approach 5 minutes. Aaron Harrison had a thought. Brings it out to Andrew. And going to be a foul on Mayton on the drive by Harrison.
And only the 15th foul for Georgia, though. So Kentucky's nowhere even close to getting to the 1-on-1.
So a fresh shot clock, and we are under the 5-minute mark.
And notice, though, too, that one of the things defensively Georgia's done a pretty good job of is eliminating the ability to get the ball down low to Towns or Willie Cauley-Stein in the post-up situation. A lot of their action in the second half has been running the baseline, perimeter threes.
Ulis around a screen, dribbled into some traffic, and almost got himself in trouble. Andrew Harrison pull up in the paint, and let's see if they're going to call goaltending on Jurisic. I don't think so.
Andrew Harrison, and this is stutter step, crossover, and the foul on the off arm from behind. And that's one of those fouls that's a careless foul. You don't want to give that one up. And awful close also to being basket interference.
He has not been to the free throw line tonight either, but it really doesn't matter with the eye he's had from the outside. Again, he continues to add to his season high in scoring.
There's certain teams you just play well against. Georgia's one of those teams for Andrew. He came into this game averaging just under 10 points and averaging 7 assists per game. He's got a season high 19 now.
And lost the ball behind his back and somehow saved it. Maton trying to work for position against Towns, and now the drive by Jurisic and a foul on Cauley-Stein. Boy, Jurisic has done a pretty good job working against the big guy tonight.
Well, it was just a great rip through up top, a little hesitation, and then he allowed him to turn the corner. You know, Willie Cauley-Stein, who laterally is as good as any big in the country, got caught that time with his feet a little bit too close, and Jurisic made him play.
Nemi's only 6'8", but he has used his shoulders well tonight to get a little separation from number 15. And there's a three-point play for him. And it's a 6-point game with 4 to go. Harrison, left hand, beautiful.
How simple and how aggressive he has played throughout the course of this game.
Gaines comes back the other way. Georgia trying to do something in transition. Jurisic thought about a three, and now they'll slow things down. Ball lost, knocked away. I think the fans in here wanted a double dribble out here on Mann after he caught the ball and looked to put it on the floor, and then on the drive was fouled.
Sometimes as a guard, you just need to know what the defense is giving you and keep it simple. Andrew Harrison, he's living with the pursuit of perfection, and he's played near perfect.
Some business to handle at Rupp Arena, guys.
All right, Brendan, we do have business left. 3:32 to go. Kentucky leads by 8 as we take a look at our Wendy's Wooden Watch tonight. 3 guys from the SEC in the top 25 candidates, led by Willie Cauley-Stein, who's here in our action tonight. Jordan Mickey averaging a double-double, and Bobby Portis at Arkansas.
Well, and we mentioned Willie Cauley-Stein and the numbers. You can wipe him off the board, his impact, how huge he's been. But you look at those other two, Bobby Portis, just outstanding, the heart and soul, really, of Arkansas. And then Jordan Mickey with an incredible 20-plus rebound performance in the losing effort against Mississippi State.
Let's check in with Shannon.
Well, Brad, you ask any basketball player out there, and they will tell you that their success has a lot to do with the team that they are on. And Willie Cauley-Stein told me the biggest difference between this year's team and last year's team is everybody knows the effort that they have to put in, the energy they have to put in. They know their roles, they have accepted them, and certainly has helped him improve his game.
And he's fighting for a rebound right now. Kentucky came up with it, and he's got the outlet pass, and ahead to Aaron Harrison. Harrison up and under, draws a foul. That was an opportunity on the other end for Georgia to get it down to 6 again. And it was disrupted by Cauley-Stein first trying to block the shot of Georgia's on the inside, and then got the outlet pass, and Aaron Harrison will go to the free throw line.
And Aaron holding his elbow, and you don't want to see a shooter holding his shooting elbow.
How about no points? Still no points. That's a rarity. Averaged 13.7 last year, came in as a leading scorer at 11.5 a game in this balanced attack of Kentucky's.
And we mentioned his numbers off the top here at Rupp Arena this year in SEC play, shooting 56% from beyond the arc.
It's like he handed it off to his brother tonight.
Yeah. Just turn the reins over.
Yeah. There's his first point.
But that's the thing about Kentucky. You can have guys have off games, and yet there's other players on the team picking it up, filling that void and that gap.
J.J. Frazier's doing everything he can to get away from Andrew Harrison, and he just can't seem to do it. He gives away such size, both height and strength-wise. Here's Maton. Boy, he's had a good game.
Season high for him now in points with 13.
Career high, in fact. Season and career for a freshman would be the same thing. Good point. Thanks. Sorry about that.
That's why I'm here for you, partner.
Good.
What a game for him, though. And we talked about him needing to step up and fill that void with Marcus Thornton being out.
Yeah. And he wasn't earlier, but second half he really come to life. Tried a backdoor cut with Booker and didn't get a pass away. And now Harrison misses one. Maton pulls down another rebound. Approaching 2 minutes.
They'll play with a sense of purpose and energy right now for Georgia, though.
Wow, what a drive by Jurisic. 17 for him. Calipari wants a timeout, I think. With just under 2 minutes to go.
Georgia just won't go away. You've got to give Coach Fox and his team credit. They came in here shorthanded, and yet every single time it has looked and appeared as if Kentucky was going to gain some separation. They've been unable to accomplish that, and Jurisic and Maton have been the guys that have got it done, in particular here in the second half. You see Jurisic receiving the contact, able to finish through, and that's because he utilizes that upper body strength to finish.
I quite frankly thought that Georgia, maybe at Stegman Coliseum the last Super Tuesday, with Marcus Thornton and maybe some of the other guys back, had a chance to match up with Kentucky. I didn't think they could hang with them here tonight. They're doing a good job.
And that's in spite of all the turnovers that they've had. And the reason for it is their defense has stepped up in the second half and has kind of dictated where Kentucky's getting their shots out on the floor. For a large portion of the second half, it's been the Georgia Bulldogs defense dictating the tempo, eliminating the second chance points opportunities here in the second half, and then they've been able to get out and find a higher quality, higher percentage shot.
Well, again, it's National Signing Day for college football tomorrow. ESPNU's got 11 hours of coverage starting at 8 o'clock tomorrow morning. We've got reporters all over the place. Some of the top players will make their announcements. You don't want to miss it. Starting at 8 o'clock tomorrow morning.
The second 20 minutes, only 1 second chance point for Kentucky.
Left hand again.
What a move. Utilize a shot fake, gather yourself on balance and finish.
Karl Anthony Towns has got 15 points and 11 rebounds. And that might be the one that makes the difference in this game, unless Georgia can hit a three here. Jurisic can't get it. Rebound out of bounds to Kentucky.
It's execution, coming out of the timeout, knowing who you want to get the ball in whose hands. And a nice dribble penetration, shot fake. Look at the balance. It starts with your base. Good, strong base allows you to elevate up over the top.
He's got really good footwork for a guy that weighs 255 and is almost 7 feet tall.
And his skill set is so dynamic.
And a foul on J.J. Frazier. And we're under a minute. Georgia has 1 timeout left. Kentucky with a couple. And at the free throw line is Tyler Ulis, who's an excellent free throw shooter. Hasn't been there tonight, but 83% on the year. Another one of the impressive freshmen and another one of the McDonald's All-Americans.
And what Tyler Ulis does, besides having great court vision and some of the assists we've seen tonight, is he just values the basketball. He just takes care of it. 0 turnovers tonight for Tyler Ulis.
Had a couple of times when they could have gotten a numbers situation and thrown the ball away, and he's pulled it back out. Just smart basketball.
Understanding time and possession.
Yeah.
So far in SEC play, he's now got 31 assists to only 7 turnovers.
That's strong. Well, there's a few people just starting to file out of Rupp Arena, but they had to wait a long time to leave. Frazier way out there missing a 3. Cauley Stein with a rebound. Hands off to Booker. And now we're down to 30 seconds, and it's just a matter of time. But Kentucky really had to fight for this one. And now Charles Mann with a foul.
Well, a tip of the cap really to Georgia and the effort that they brought to the court tonight. And there's numerous times they could have just folded up 10 and walked away. Down 11, down 10 early in this game, but they kept fighting. And they put themselves in a position to make this a tight game down the stretch. And on the flip side of it, you look at Kentucky. They had great moments in this game. And moments where they really were razor sharp for majority of the first half.
Yeah.
In the second half, they just missed some looks that really could have gained some separation.
They started off, remember, with a 10-point lead in the opening 3 minutes, and we looked at each other and said, wow. And then they came out in the second half, and they actually stretched the lead to 18 at one point at 47-29, and that's when they looked Like they might be able to run away and hide, but Georgia just wouldn't let them do it. Block shot. Towns outlet. Andrew Harrison. He's going to take it inside and give it back to his brother and pull it back outside.
Well, 22-0. They'll be one game behind the second best start in school history. Game day will be there on Saturday, as will Shannon Spake for the contest down in Gainesville.
So they had to work for it, but they're still perfect. Not a blowout by any stretch of the imagination. They win it by 11. 9-0 in the conference. 22-0 overall. Final score 69-58. Georgia falls to 5-4 in conference play and 14-7 overall. So the Cats are still perfect. We'll see if they can keep it going in Gainesville on Saturday. For Sean and Shannon, Brad Nessler saying so long from Rupp Arena.